Okay, hopefully everything works. Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's check out Legends of Talia Arcadia on Nintendo Switch. We got English, Deutsch, Espanol. We'll do the English. Can I confirm? How do I confirm? Oh, interesting. Looks like a renty game. Or RenPy, since it's Python. I'll do that. Yeah, let's start. Sometimes, when I'm trying to get to sleep at night, I can still hear the screams. They're impossible to forget. If you'd been in the village of Freycross that night, you wouldn't be able to forget them either. Then again, most of the people who were in Freycross that night died. I was one of the few lucky ones. I wasn't supposed to be in Freycross in the first place. I wasn't born there. I didn't live there. I was just passing. I've been wandering through the high roads, as you do, and I needed a place to stay for the night. The good people at Freycross were more than happy to accommodate me. They practically showered me with invitations to stay in their homes, eat their food, and sleep in their beds. It was almost like my presence was some kind of great blessing. And then a horned dragon attacked, and the whole village was burnt to the ground. It's a shame, really. Freycross wasn't an important place by any means. Most people in Talia probably haven't heard of it. I hadn't. But the people at Freycross were good, kind people, and when I say that, I mean it. Truly. They spent their lives growing crops, rearing sheep, and fattening pigs up for the winter. They had to be self-sufficient because there were no nearby villages or towns to trade with. They looked after each other. Most of them were illiterate, apart from the village chief. It didn't matter. Being located in an out-of-the-way corner of the world, on the edge of an ill-traveled high road filled with monsters, they had learnt to be strong and bold and self-sufficient. But they all fell over themselves when word spread that the great hero, Arcadia of Littlehaven, arrived at the gates of their village. "Oh, please, Lady Warrior," said the head of the village, "make yourself at home. We are your humble servants." They were so excited by my unexpected arrival, they even threw a banquet in my honor. They roasted a whole pig on a spit, apple in his mouth and all, but that wasn't it. There were also meat pies, boiled potatoes, and handmade soups. The food must have taken a long time to prepare, and I was grateful, but a simple meal of bread and cheese would have done just as well. There was music and laughter, and several of the smallest children at Freycross asked, very shyly, for my autograph. Not that they'd be able to read it, of course. They just wanted something to remember me by. I'm not sure why people make such a fuss about me. I never wanted to be a hero. Unfortunately, my legend had traveled across every single corner of Talia. Everybody at Freycross that night knew me. Everybody loved me. They adored me. Was it because I fought a lot of battles? Because of Kareth? I hope not. War is pointless. So is fighting. Those who glorify it, those who venerate it, and raise mere warriors like myself to the status of saints turn my stomach. Not that I think much about Talia's saints. It was hard to focus on my food that night, though the people at Freycross were being so very kind and shared what I knew were limited resources with me. They welcomed me with open arms, like I was their close friend. They thought if I was there, nothing would be able to harm them. They were wrong. The dragon killed almost everybody that night. It ravaged the whole village. It burnt the fields to the ground, cooked the fat right off the pigs, and engulfed all the houses in warm red flames. The houses in the Freycross were all made of wood. Most people were asleep when the attack happened. They died in their beds. They died instantly. At least, I hope they did. A horned dragon's fire is strong enough to melt the flesh off a person's bones, and turn the bones themselves to soot. If I myself had been lying in bed at the village chief's home, sleeping, perhaps I would have been burnt to a cinder too. Hero or not, I'm made of flesh and blood like any other mortal, and if exposed to a horned dragon's fire, I'd almost definitely die. The small alterations to the church did to my body back when I was a warrior priest who lived in Spinel would have been for naught. Though I can self-regenerate to a certain degree, there are limits. A horned dragon would definitely push my limits to the breaking point. If I'd been caught up in its fire, I would have perished. But I didn't. That's because I wasn't anywhere near the fire when the dragon attacked. I wasn't even in Freycross. I'd left the village behind me. I was trying to escape. Now, you might be wondering why I was trying to flee in the night, like a fugitive from these good people who had offered me so very much and asked for nothing in return. Nothing other than arm wrestling competitions and my autograph. So many of them wanted autographs that though I didn't know why. I'm not a skilled calligrapher. I spent most of my days gripping my sword. Still, it made them happy, and it was no skin off my nose, so I did it all the same. But here's the thing. Being revered a hero for more than a decade can be rather draining, especially when you're not a hero. I don't think I am. I might be the great warrior Arcadia, scourge of the battlefield, champion of Kadeth, and the protector of Amaranth Village, but at the end of the day, I'm just a human. The church meddled with my body during my stint as a warrior priest, but when I still believed the church at Spinel was good and right and just, but I still bleed when you cut me. Honest to goodness, I do, though the wounds will all close up unusually fast. I don't like being adored and revered and venerated. I don't deserve it, not when my only real talent is killing. Sometimes I worry my legends will eclipse who I really am. In fact, I think it already has. It's already happened. There are so many stories, some of them true, most of them not, that I can no longer disentangle fact from fiction. I'm not allowed to be a normal person anymore. I've done too many great works in my short life. So I left. Maybe you could say I ran. The people of Freycross loved me, they believed in me, and I let them down. Maybe if I hadn't left that night, I would have done something. Slain the dragon, perhaps. I don't know. I've never done it before. If I hadn't run away, then maybe. But it's useless thinking about what ifs now. What's done is done. By the time I saw the dragon, its scaly body embossed against the round full moon, it was much too late. I turned back, ran to Freycross Village, drew my sword. It didn't make any difference. Everything was on fire. Everything was ruins. Almost everybody was dead. The dragon was long gone, of course. It just happened to be passing. Maybe it hadn't even meant to target the village of Freycross. It just reacted out of instinct. Dragons aren't as smart as people think. The people of Freycross didn't need a warrior. Not even the great warrior Arcadia, with all her accomplishments and accolades. They needed white mages, herbalists, and healers. Unfortunately, I've never been very good with magic. What else do you think the sword is for? It's just compensation, really. I walked through the burning village. The ruined buildings were depressing. The stench of burning flesh was even more so. I felt like I was standing in the middle of a war. Like I was back in Kadeth. I stood there, surrounded by licking flames and black soot. The smell of death invaded my nostrils. I suppressed the urge to choke. There, lying on the ground before me, was a girl. One of the girls who had asked so eagerly for my autograph. She was still young, only 11 or 12, maybe 13 at a push. She was alive, but barely. She had breathed in a lot of smoke, and she was coughing, choking. She wouldn't last the night. The ends of her frayed nightgown were burnt black. So were her feet. The fat on her legs was bubbling like a cauldron. She looked up at me. I looked down at her. A cool wind caught in my hair. It fluttered. The smell of dead bodies grew stronger and stronger. The girl opened her mouth, and then she said in a low, pained voice, "Why?" I didn't know what to say. I didn't have an answer to give. I could have said sorry, but what use would that have done? So I didn't apologize. Instead, I looked down at the girl, her burnt legs, and her tear-filled eyes, and I simply said, "That's how life is." And then I walked away. There was nothing I could have done. That's an important part of being a warrior. You have to know when to cut your losses. You have to know when to move on. So I did. I left Freycross Village that night, and I never looked back. I stopped the medic on the road and told them about Freycross Village. I asked them to help. Maybe they went back. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I like to think I did all I could, but sometimes when I'm feeling sentimental, I do wonder. Maybe I could have said something a bit nicer to that girl. Something more comforting. She was only a child, really. But the world isn't a very nice place. It's midday and the sun is high in the sky. I walk, my head bent, trying to keep beneath the covers of the trees. Fortunately, in the vast and sprawling little oak forest, there are plenty of those. They're not all oak trees either. I'm no expert on the various flora and fauna in Talia, but I lived in the countryside as a child, near Little Oak, as a matter of fact, and my parents used to point out various trees to me when I went for walks. Sycamore, birch, ash, rosewood. They're all staples of my youth. I paused beneath a tree with a sturdy trunk and numerous dark green leaves. An ash tree, I think, and quite an old one, judging by the thickness of its boughs. I need to take a break, wipe the sweat from my brow. It's a horribly warm day. Muggy, I think you'd call it. Doesn't help that there are bugs everywhere. Horrible buzzing things. Mosquitoes. I can't stand them. Unfortunately, they seem to be rather attracted to me, like everything else in Talia. I need to reassess. Where exactly am I going? Back to my home village of Little Haven, or what remains of it? I suppose I felt nostalgic. After years of wandering Talia, slaying monsters and saving civilians, I think I deserve a break. Even heroes get homesick sometimes. I lean against the bark of the tree. It's cool beneath my skin, and offers me a fair amount of shade. I uncork the flask at my hip and bring it to my lips. It's warm. I wince, but drink at the same time. I'll drink all the same. When I drink, I examine my surroundings and wave away a few more stray mosquitoes. Horrible things. Little Oak Forest really is expansive. It would be really easy to get lost here. Thinking about it, its name is a bit misleading. Maybe you could call it ironic. I've heard of more than a few travelers who blundered in here, sincerely believing in Little Rock's name, who got lost and eaten by monsters. Little Oak is filled with monsters. Fortunately, most of them only come out at night. The highly ill-fitting name is a holdover from the good old days. As legend goes, this place used to be a large expanse of lush green fields, flat fields filled with wild flowers and nothing else to see for miles upon miles. Then, one of Talia's old queens of yore, Queen Leotine, her name was, but she was a princess back then, came here and planted a single acorn in the ground. The acorn grew and grew, and dropped more acorns, and Little Oak became the vast sprawling forest you see before you. There have been numerous petitions to change the name of this place. It's quite outdated now, by a good 600 years. Nobody listens. People in Talia like tradition, even if said tradition results in the untimely deaths of around 8 people per year. Well, that's just how life is. I cork my jug of water and attach it to my hip once more. My old village shouldn't be too far away now, just past the crossroads. If I take the left-hand fork, I can make it before sundown. I start walking, crunching old dead leaves and small hard acorns beneath my sturdy wolf's hide boots when... Help me! Oh, somebody, please help me! Now, I wonder who that can be. Maybe there's a monster's attack. Maybe there's a monster attack. Most monsters only come out at night, but there are always exceptions to the rule. Please, somebody, anybody. I wonder if I should help this woman. I have no real obligation to do so. I don't know who she is. I don't even know what she looks like. But, well, I am a warrior. Old habits die hard. All right. Hold your horses. I'm coming. I turn, retrace my steps. I take the right fork as opposed to the left and start walking, searching. It doesn't take me all that long to find the source of the commotion. It's a mandragora, a large plant-like monster with a flower for a head and lots of thick, ropey vines. The vines of the mandragora are holding a young woman aloft in the air. The vines are wrapped around her legs, her waist, her arms. Her hair is short and soft pink, like primroses. It catches in the breeze. Pretty. She won't be pretty for much longer if the mandragora succeeds in crushing her to death. Are you here to help me? The woman looks at me. Her eyes are large, hopeful. Well, what can I do? I can't turn around and walk away. Nope, sorry, I'm off duty. I don't think that would cut it. If I don't step in, she'll die. Don't worry, I'll help you. I unsheathe my sword.
Oh, thank you so much. You can thank me when I've defeated that monster. Now, put that woman down, or you won't live very long to regret it.
I don't know why I say that. It's not like the Mandragora can understand common Talian, or any kind of language for that matter. All this monster can do is shake its vines and spew pollen. Oh well. I can at least say I tried to settle this diplomatically. The Mandragora snakes its long, thick vines out towards me. It tries to grab hold of my ankles. Too slow. I jump back, avoiding them, and slice the vines in two with the blade of my sword. Easy. The severed vines begin to leak sticky sap. Enraged, perhaps in pain, the Mandragora starts shifting, swaying. It sends more vines after me, and I dodge them all. I dispose of them with the slightest flick of my wrist. Slice, slice, slice. The Mandragora can't move very far. It's rooted to the ground. Though its vines are long, it has a limited range. I dance about it, hair catching in the breeze. I should really get it cut, and sever each and every vine.
Wow, you're so amazing, Lady Knight.
Be quiet, you're distracting me.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'll cheer you on quietly, from inside my heart.
Now thoroughly crazed, half mad with pain, the giant flower monster spurts out pollen, thick waves of the stuff, bright yellow. I don't know what it does. I don't want to find out. I jump back. I'm out of the pollen's range, at least the worst of it. It will still get carried by the wind. How do I approach it? This would be easier if I was a mage. My mother always wanted me to study magic. She was a mage herself, a white mage who worked for the Central Spinel Church. That's the largest church in Talia. Unfortunately, I have no magical powers. I can't even shoot sparks from my fingertips. Being able to conjure fire from thin air would be a useful ability right now. Mandragoras, being plants, are highly susceptible to fire. They burn very easily. Just like the village of Freycross. No, stop it. I'm not going to think about that. That was almost 8 years ago. It's irrelevant. I narrow my eyes, assess the situation. The Mandragora is still covered in a veil of yellow pollen, preventing me from getting too close. I can tell in its leafy vegetative mind, if indeed it has a mind, that it thinks it's outsmarted me. The vines dig even tighter into the captive woman, trying to squeeze her to death.
Ah!
The girl gasps. It sounds like she's suffering. I can't allow that. I won't allow that. Maybe this'll work. I swing my sword, hard. It displaces the air, clearing out a thin path in the pollen between me and the Mandragora. The Mandragora shifts, its large flowery head turning my direction, but it's already too late. Hey-ah! I rush forwards, dashing through the slim opening my strike afforded, and jump. The Mandragora, panicking, sends a bevy of vines after me. How many vines does this thing have? But I ignore them. Focus on the flower. I bring the sword down. It splits right through the large open flower in the center of the Mandragora. The Mandragora thrashes in pain. Its vines crumple in on themselves. The young woman is released. She falls through the air, and I dash forwards to catch her in my arms. I hold her against my chest and carry her away, while the Mandragora dances itself to death. The woman's unconscious. The plant must have squeezed the air out of her. Fortunately, she's still breathing. When I'm a good 5 feet away from the crumpled plant, I lay the woman on the ground. I set her beneath the shade of an oak tree. The ground is covered in fallen acorns. Upon closer inspection, I realize my hasty first impressions were indeed correct. The woman is very pretty. She's young, maybe 19, 20, and has smooth skin and peach-colored hair. I examine her wrists, her ankles. There are red welts crisscrossing her skin, no doubt from the Mandragora's vines. Well, they'll heal soon enough. I sheathe my sword and turn. I'm ready to walk away when...
Oh, Lady Knight.
She's awake. Damn it. She's sturdier than she looks.
Are you just going to leave me like that? That was the general idea, yes. But I haven't even had a chance to apologize.
For what?
For getting attacked by that plant. It was my fault, really. I'm usually so careful. I know this forest like the back of my hand. I've never been caught by a Mandragora before.
There's a first time for everything.
I suppose, but this is really embarrassing.
Then I should have let you die.
What? No, of course not. I was really happy when you came to save me. It was like something from a fairy story. I simply did what a concerned onlooker would do. Now, we both know that's not true. Not many people would have the guts to face down a monster like that. People can surprise you. You certainly surprised me. I'm so happy. I want to repay you somehow. The woman gets to her feet, but her ankles are weak and she stumbles. It's a good thing I'm there to catch her, or she'd been making a sudden appointment with the ground right now. It seems you've saved me yet again. You should be more careful. Yes, I will, I suppose. I promise. I have little faith in the promises of people from Talia. Well, if that's all, I'll be on my way. Oh, wait! Please wait! Yes, what is it now? You can't just walk away like that. Watch me. But you saved me. I need to thank you. I don't need any thanks. But you were so strong and brave, just like a real warrior. A real warrior, huh? She pauses, and then... Oh my! Oh no. I know you. You're the Lady Warrior, Arcadia. Isn't that right? I'm afraid you have the wrong person. No, it really is you. I'd recognize you anywhere. My older sister is a big fan, and she has a wooden carving of you she bought with 3 months' worth of her pocket money from the traveling market of Melora. Then she was ripped off. A likeness of my face is hardly worth that much money. Ah, see? I knew it. You really are Arcadia. Damn. I don't know what you're talking about, miss. You don't need to call me miss. My name is Cecily, and I'm very glad I met you. Oh, great war... Arcadia is fine. Oh, but this is incredible. She's so excited she's practically jumping. I simply have to go home and tell my sister. Celesta will be overjoyed. Well, don't let me keep you. What do you mean? You're coming too, of course. Of course. She makes it sound like it's something ordained by the stars, something that can't be altered by any man, not even the great Arcadia herself. And why do you want me to come with you? Because you did a great thing for me. Everybody in my village will want to thank you. I don't think that's a very good idea. But Cecily isn't listening. I get the vague feeling listening isn't one of her strong suits. You must meet my sister. Yes, and my mother, and grandmother. The village chief will want to see you, and all the young children, the men and women too. We've all heard of your legends, and we all want to meet you. It would be like a dream come true. Some dreams are better left unrealized. Nonsense. You know, it's been hard in my village lately. It hasn't rained nearly enough, and it's been so hot dry this summer. There isn't enough water to go around, and we were starting to lose hope. But if you were there, Arcadia, then I'm sure everybody would be very happy. It'll prove that life can be good and great. Maybe even my sister will get better. She's sick? Yes, she's been very sick for a very, very long time. The only thing that makes her happy is her woodcut of you. I'm sorry to hear that. I turn to one side, suddenly awkward. You'd think I'd get used to being an idol after spending so much of my life in the spotlight, but apparently not. I just want a quiet life, really. Maybe with a cat or two. Getting too old for all this nonsense. Why am I letting this girl get to me anyway? Everybody in Talia has one sob story or two, but when I look in her eyes, I feel myself getting swayed regardless. What a pain. I was out in the forest for Celesta, actually. I was looking for some mugwort and lady's purse to make a painkiller, you see? It's the only way she can get through each day now. But I was so worried I must have forgotten myself and walked right into that Mandragora's den. If I died, I don't know what would have happened to Celesta. There is mother and grandmother, yes, but she needs me. She loves me. We're sisters. Cecily takes the hold of both of my hands and smiles. You did a very great thing today, Arcadia. You didn't just save me, you saved my whole family. I can't thank you properly, and I don't have anything to give you, but if we went back to Fairside, you could be compensated amply. I don't do this to make money. But my voice lacks conviction. There's no conviction left. Cecily has drained it all from me. She's a skinny woman, but her face is awfully determined. Her eyes are narrowed, her brow furrowed. She's earnest and means well, but she's also stubborn and self-assured, and absolutely will not take no for an answer. She's also rather attractive, which doesn't hurt. Her fingers, laced with mine, are very soft and warm. Please, Arcadia, please, for me. I swallow. I want to turn my head, but I can't.
She's exactly the kind of person I'm weak against. Forget mandragoras. It's girls like Cecily who will be the end of me. The two of us walk through Little Oak Forest together. Leaves and twigs crunch beneath our feet. Light filters down through the leaves and the trees up above, but most of Cecily's face is obscured in shadow. The forest is overgrown. The paths are ill-maintained. Perhaps they haven't been tended to in centuries. Not many people venture into the Little Oak Forest, not if they know what's good for them. People never know what's good for them. I keep on my guard, turning my head this way and that. My fingers tremble. An alien, unfamiliar noise rings my hand against the hilt of my sword, but... oh, it's only a squirrel. Sorry, I gotta pet the cat. What are you giggling about? I didn't realize great warriors like yourself were afraid of squirrels. I'm not afraid of squirrels. I'm afraid we might run into more monsters. You can never be too careful. But you're a warrior. I bet you'll be able to take care of anything with one slash of your sword. Bam! Cecily punches the air for further demonstration. I roll my eyes. Swords don't go bam. Whoosh? I suppose that's better, but that isn't the point. I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about you. What do you mean? If you're with me, you're under my protection. I need to keep you safe. That's why I have to be careful. Oh, don't worry, Arcadia. I live in these woods. I've been playing in here since I was a little girl. I can look after myself. But you still got ensnared by that mandragora. Oh, come on. It was a one-off. I'll be more careful next time. Ah! Cecily shrieks in alarm. She pitches forward. I reach out, catching her before she falls, most inelegantly, to the forest floor. She giggles awkwardly. I tripped over a tree root. I could tell. I guess it was a two-off? You really are clumsy. I can't take my eyes off you for a second. I would have been fine without you, really. It's not a big deal. And then I won't catch you next time you fall. Boo. Cecily puffs out her cheeks. You're mean. I know. No, you're not supposed to agree with me. But it's the truth. So, this village of yours. Fairside. Alright, Fairside. That's a nice unassuming name for a village. How far away is it? It's not that far. It's just down this path. That's what you've been saying for the last half hour. Well, maybe it's a little farther than I said. How much further exactly? 3 hours? 3 hours? Give or take? Why were you so far away from home to begin with? Well, like I said, I was gathering ingredients for Celesta, Mugwort and Lady's Purse. Don't they have Mugwort and Lady's Purse a little closer to home? They did, but like I said, there's been a drought. Most of the plants are too withered to be of any use. I had to look a little deeper. 3 hours deeper? Yep, I'm nothing if not tenacious. You must love your sister a lot. I don't love her. I adore her. Nobody else in my family can gather these herbs for Celesta. Mother needs to attend the family business, and Grandma's way too old. I'm the only one who can help. I'm doing all that I can. I have to. You must have been walking for a long time already. Don't your feet hurt? A little, but it's no big deal. I can handle this much for Celesta. I'd even walk 500, no, 1,000 miles for her sake. A pretty sentiment, but do you know how long that would actually take? Nope, no clue. I've always been bad with mathematics. I figured. Still, Celesta's been sick her whole life. She's probably suffering much more than me. If she can handle being in near constant pain for years and years, I should be able to handle a little bit of walking. It's only 3 hours. 6 if you count both ways. Yeah, 6 hours. That's nothing. When you were still in the army, you must have marched much more than that every day, right? I remember the long march to Kadath. It took almost a week to get there. As soon as we arrived, we were thrown into battle. We didn't have time to rest our weary legs. We were dying on our feet before we even arrived. Still, we somehow managed to win. People say our victory rests solely on my shoulders. The soldiers at Kadath, the few that survived, said I was like a force of nature. Not a single woman at all. Not a single woman at all. I must have cut down more than 100 enemy soldiers, all the while avoiding their blows and magical bullets. Eloise wasn't so lucky. I shake my head. I've marched for that long, yes, but it's different for you. Why? You're not a member of the army. You're not a soldier. You're just a girl. Well, I might be just a girl, but I'm older than you when you went to Kadath. It's a legend. You know, a famous story. Everybody says you were only 10 years old. Do people really believe such nonsense? Not even Spinel would send a child into the battlefield. That's preposterous. Oh, then how old were you then? 14. That isn't much better. So, if the Battle of Kadath was 14 years ago, 17. Has it really been that long? Right, then you're 28? 31. Almost 32. Cecily wasn't kidding. She really is bad at mathematics. What do they teach children nowadays? You look pretty good for your age. You don't look much older than me. You'd think a warrior would have a few more cuts and bruises on her. I get that a lot. It's another perk of being a warrior priest. They have technicians in Spinel who can do wonders with the human body, with spirals of iron and some white magic. They only perform operations on those they deem to be most worthy. I was selected as one of the lucky few. The magic imbued into my veins doesn't extend my lifespan. It simply keeps my body younger and stronger for longer, so it doesn't degrade. So I can fight more. So I can kill more. My life expectancy is about the same as a normal human's. A lot of people in Spinel are shrewd businessmen. They like to wring every last bit of use they can out of their tools. Like blood from a stone. That's what I am to them. Or was before I quit. A tool. You don't need to worry about me, Cecily. I might be older than you, but I'm perfectly capable of looking after myself. You, on the other hand, could stand to be more careful. Hey, I'll have you know I'm super careful. I'll believe that when I see it. Huh, you're so full of it. I make a couple of teensy tiny little mistakes, one of which could have gotten you killed. And then you start making fun of me. You're such a bully. You love teasing me so much. You're even smiling right now. I blink. I press my fingertips against my lips. She's right. Cecily might be a loudmouth who nearly got herself eaten by a mandragora, but even she raises a few good points now and then. I really am smiling. How peculiar. I don't smile very often. There's precious little in Talia to smile about. I wonder why I'm smiling now. And we're finally here. Cecily beams and plants her hands on her hips. Well, Arcadia, what do you think? I look around Freycross Village dispassionately. Despite its name, Freycross Village isn't particularly fair. Maybe because that's to be expected. It is on the outskirts of Little Oak Forest, after all, and it's partially bathed in the shadows of the tall, twisted trees. Mostly ash and hawthorn, I think. Aside from all the forestation and the perpetual whistling of the wind through the trees, Freycross Village doesn't look much different from the innumerable other small villages scattered across Talia. The houses are small and wooden with thatched roofs. There are dirt paths curving through the village, bordered by grass. The grass is studded with mushrooms and wild flowers. Freesias, maybe. Buttercups. What are those small purple flowers? I'm not very good with flowers. It's not my area of expertise. A pig lumbers by, unattended. It drags its soft pink belly against the ground. Its curled tail twitches upon seeing me, like a cat's, and its ears fold back against its skull. It's kind of cute. There are chickens, too, pecking at the ground for worms. A few children playing jump rope, but the moment they see me, they make themselves scarce. How odd. Usually it's the other way around. Have they never heard of me? Kadath was a long while ago. Perhaps it's before their time. Hey, Cecily. What? Is there something on my face? You look fine, Arcadia. A little gloomy, maybe. I'm always gloomy. Except when you're with me, huh? Don't talk to me like we're friends. I sigh. This place, Fairside, is just like Freycross, just like Amaranth, just like my home, Littlehaven. I grew up in Littlehaven. I wasn't born there. I was born in Spinel, but spent my childhood there. The best years of my life. some might say, but these so-called best years were mostly occupied with milking the family goat, Ressie. I didn't play with the other children very much. I was shy, if you can believe it. I always hid behind my mother's back. My parents moved back to Spinel when I was 7. My mother gave up making cheese once the war started. She wanted to become a white mage. She wanted to help our people. She wanted me to become a mage too. Unfortunately, I'd never been very good with magic. I look around once more. The pigs and the chickens are still there, but there are no other people. Where is everybody? Is this a day of rest? Well, it's Setch's day. The elders will probably be at church. Church, right. There's a church in every single village, no matter how small, in Talia. I think it's a law. It was passed by the High Priestess Aurora, the de facto ruler of Talia. Queen Letta is supposed to be in charge, but she's nothing more than a figurehead. Everybody knows the church has all the power. If you want, you can wait at my house. I can pour you a cup of tea. I'm not a fan of tea. Seriously? But I have all different kinds. There's rosehip and pumpkin and... Please make her stop. I can only fit so much information into my head, and a catalog of all the teas across Talia is not something I need to remember. Alright, fine. You mean you'll come with me? Sure. What do I have to lose? I'll do anything if it means Cecily will stop rabbiting in my ear. Oh, Arcadia, thank you so much. Cecily grins and rolls up her sleeves, flexes her non-existent muscles. I'll make you the best pumpkin tea you've ever tasted. I never said I wanted pumpkin tea. But that's what you're going to get. I think it's the most delicious tea we have. Fine. I'm not a big connoisseur of orange vegetables. My mother used to pinch my nose when I was younger, and force the carrots inside my mouth when I opened it for air. My mother, despite being a white mage, was quite forceful. She would have made a good warrior. I think, before my mother moved to Littlehaven, she was a warrior mage, but she never spoke about it. There's a lot I don't know about my family. Now it's too late to ask them. They're not in a fit state to answer questions. Cecily leads me down the dirt path, practically skipping. She skirts around the stray pigs, does a neat loop around the fountain, and leads me through the houses. I walk along behind her obediently. She walks and walks. The air starts to get colder. The houses thin out. There aren't as many trees around here either. Are we going in the right way? Of course. I wouldn't forget the way to my own house. I'm not so sure about that. Oh, you. Cecily pokes me in the side. You are funny. I wasn't joking. I glance to my left and right. My fingers start to twitch. It's the same feeling I get when I'm in imminent danger, when a monster is going to attack. Are we nearly there yet, Cecily? Almost. I sniff the air. I can smell vanilla pods, lavender, the faint embers of a leftover fire. Well, there's nothing so unusual about that. I glance at the ground and... Ah! I blink. Ah! I blink. There, sprouting by the path, only a few inches away from my foot, I see it. A clump of mugwort. Didn't Cecily go into the forest 3 hours away from home, precisely so she could pick this plant? That's what she told me. She said it was a salve for her sister. Now, I'm not so sure if I believe her. Cecily, I start to say, but I stop. Close my mouth. My teeth clink together. Cecily is standing before me. She faces me. Her fingers are clenched in fists at her sides. Her eyes are narrowed. We're far away from the houses now. Arcadia. Cecily's voice is soft and low. It's strangely menacing. I'm sorry, but the village chief told me to do this. It's the only way. What are you... I don't have a chance to finish. Cecily raises her right hand and says something. She expels her voice into the air. It isn't a shout, but it still sets my teeth on edge. I know what this means. This simple, single command. Burn. She's a mage. She knows magic. And I never suspected a thing. That's why I'm so slow to react. Too slow. In the end, it isn't Cecily's fire spell that brings me to my knees, powerful though it is. And it really is powerful. I'll give her credit where credit's due. For such an unassuming, ordinary-looking girl, she's very strong. Well trained. The fire licks at my sides. It sears the skin off my flesh. It hurts. It really does hurt. But Cecily isn't the one who defeats me. It's my own foolishness. My stupidity. My unwillingness to trust. I thought I'd dispensed of that years ago. Apparently not. If only Cecily wasn't so pretty. Pretty girls really will be the death of me. I wake up. Try to open my eyes. First one, then the other. It hurts. My head is pounding. The inside of my mouth tastes like charcoal. When I swallow, I feel my throat convulsing. It feels like I've inhaled a ball bearing. I choke. The air is rank. It smells of death and burning. It takes me a few moments to work out that smell is coming from me.
So, I see you're awake.
I lift my head. There is Cecily, but she looks different to how she did when I first met her. More serious somehow, almost threatening. Cecily, I thought you were helpless.
You thought wrong.
People tend to not to take me seriously. That's their loss. They only realize how powerful I am until it's too late. You make it sound like you lure innocent women into your village and set them on fire all the time. It's not a hobby of mine, but I'd hardly call you innocent. Lucky for you, I didn't cause any lasting damage. I used quite a powerful spell, but you looked fine. She's right. Her spell was rather powerful. It singed my skin. I could feel it peeling away like strips of wallpaper. It's better now, though, which is more than that can be said for my clothes. It seems the legends are true. You really are adorable. All the best warrior priestesses are. Did they really operate on you in Spinel? That's what people say. I'm not at liberty to tell you that. If I shared any official church secrets, they'd have my head. Oh, you don't need to concern yourself with the church right now. They're the least of your worries. I smile sardonically. Well, that makes a nice change. For a few moments, Cecily's stony expression shifts. I think I can see a pang of guilt, perhaps, on her pretty face. For all her big talk, she's still a relatively young woman. 19? 20? It's hard to tell. But her expression soon tightens. She grits her teeth. I bet you don't even know why you're here, do you? It seems like quite a poor way to pay somebody back for saving your life, I must admit, though perhaps you do things differently in Fairside. Come off it. You know my life was never in any danger. I did wonder about that. If you're such a proficient mage, why didn't you protect yourself? Everybody knows mandragores are weak against fire. Well, what do you think I was doing, Arcadia? It doesn't take me long to figure it out. You were trying to lure me into a trap. That's right, and it worked out rather well, didn't it? I could always escape. I'm not so sure about that. I looked to my left, then the right. Stone walls, iron bars. I don't have my sword. I don't know any magic. I could pick the lock maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if the cell is enchanted somehow. This is quite a precarious situation. It really is amazing. I never would have thought that I, Cecily Rhodes, could capture the great Arcadia. I'm not the great. I just happened to kill a lot of people. Yes, you did. You let a lot of people die. I'm inclined to agree with her, but so few people have told me this during my lifetime it trips me up. I beg your pardon? You heard me. You let everybody in Freycross die. Ah, so she knows about that, does she? That wasn't my proudest hour. That's putting it lightly. Do you even know why you're here? I imagine you had something of a grudge. No, it isn't just me. I wasn't involved. Not directly, but my sister. My sister's the village chief. She's the leader of Fairside. Did you know that? I don't believe you mentioned it. Well, it's true. Our family has governed this village for centuries. We keep it safe from harm. Fairside isn't a rich village. We don't mine rare minerals, and we don't have any deposits of coal or oil nearby. All we have are farms, pigs and chickens. We try to fend for ourselves. We do have some connections with Freycross Village, though. At least, we did. Before it went up in flames. Yes, until that happened. Cecily's hands tremble. She clenches them into fists. It was 12 years ago. My mother and grandmother took Celesta to Freycross Village. We had a bad harvest that year, and we were going to trade some of our cows for wheat and corn. I stayed at home with my father. I was too young to travel. And anyway, I'm younger than Celesta. I wasn't going to be the next head. I didn't need to see how trade is done. My sister was so excited. She'd never been on a trip so far away from home before. She braided her hair and tied it up with a green ribbon. She wore her best dress and packed her favorite nightgown. She thought I was like going on holiday. She made sure to bring her most prized possession, too. Her woodcut of you, Arcadia, the lady warrior and hero of Kadath, which she bought with her own money from the traveling market of Melora. I look at the stone floor, anything to avoid Cecily's gaze. That's the worst thing about being regaled stories where you star as the main character. For better or worse, you already know how things are going to end. When they arrived at Freycross Village after a day's long, weary travel, however, they discovered something amazing, something that put all thought of trade off their minds. They found you. You had arrived at the village before they had, and there was a banquet being held in your honor. Everybody was so excited. They thought it was a good omen. My sister, especially. Cecily shakes her head. She was overjoyed. You were her muse, her idol, and she really did love you. She loved you, and then, when the dragon attacked, you abandoned the village. You could have defeated it, but you didn't. The villagers went looking for you, but you weren't in your room. You'd run away. And you let everybody burn. Everybody died. My mother and my grandmother. And Celesta almost died too. The dragon's fire caught her legs and the hem of her skirt and burned them horribly. Now she can't walk, and you should know what dragon's fire can do. It doesn't allow healing. That's right. My sister's legs won't ever heal, no matter what we do. She's forced to relive the sensation of having her skin melted away from her flesh every waking hour of her life. For the last 12 years. But that isn't the worst thing. That isn't what hurts her the most. I think I have a relatively good idea what that might be. I don't even need to ask. I can remember it clearly. The young girl, her dirty nightgown, her legs blackened and burnt and horribly melted. Okay, why don't we stop it here? This is audap, and you've been watching The Legend of Talia Arcadia on Nintendo Switch. Boy, this is a real surprise. This is actually pretty engrossing. It's really well written. The artwork's really good. The music's background music, nothing too terribly fancy about it. But the story is definitely going into places that most fantasy stories normally don't go, into more of the tragedy and character study. So yeah, I really like it. It's going for not very much. I think it's on sale for like $3 across all the game stores. So you can get it on PlayStation or I don't know about Xbox, but you can get it on PlayStation and Switch and on PC for relatively cheap, you know. And I think you're going to get a really good story out of it if the first 45 minutes or anything to go by. Unfortunately, there's no voice acting, so you will be just reading silently if you're playing by yourself, or you can watch me read it with no character voices present. But yeah, I think I definitely want to see the end of this. It seems really intriguing, and I hope people out there are willing to, spend a couple dollars to support this title. Like I said, I think it's really good, and I'd like to see more come from this developer and this writer. I'd certainly be interested in following them and seeing what they're up to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.